Howdy, folks. Long time no see. Last video I made was September 3rd, 2008. Reason I haven't made any videos since then is I got tired of the medical updates with my health situation being always the same damn thing. The first video I made on YouTube was September 15th, 2006 on this channel. I was bedridden with a bed sore on my left hip that I'd had for about a year that would not heal. I was out in Puerto Rico at the time, as some of y'all will recall, and bottom line, after 2.5 years or so of putzing around with them, they just refused to operate, to close this thing up. At that point, if they'd have gotten it real early, all they would have had to do was a simple flap surgery, which is where they take some of the muscle tissue and fold it back over the injured area. They clean out all the bad tissue, and then they fold it back over this muscle tissue and fold it back over the injured area to give it some padding, and then let it heal. They ended up refusing to operate on me. Come back out here to New Mexico. Another 2.5, 3 years of putzing around, and well, I guess about 2 years. And they admitted me to try to treat this thing, and now this thing's gone down to the bone, and I've got a really bad bone infection in my femur, not in my pelvis, but in my femur. They didn't want to operate. I was in the hospital for 6 months there, total. They didn't want to operate. The brilliant orthopedic surgeon out here decided that because I'd had radiation treatments on that hip for extra bone growth that wouldn't stop growing, and the only way to stop it was to irradiate it, boy, that would never ever heal. And he just didn't want to do what I wanted him to do, which is to cut my leg off. Because if I got my leg cut off, according to him, I would never, ever, ever get back in the wheelchair again. I was put on antibiotics and several runs of antibiotics. I was in the hospital 6 months again. No, I already told you that, 6 months. Put on antibiotics, several different runs of various antibiotics, various combos of antibiotics, and this bed sore wouldn't heal. And the problem was there was pressure from the bone from the inside. So I told him to cut my leg off. And nope, you'll never get up in the chair again. Had a big meeting with him towards the end of that last antibiotic run there, and they said they're going to discharge me. This was about 10 days before the end of that antibiotic run. Well, 4 days after that meeting, the infection went septic, and they had to operate. Now this infection is spread throughout my body. This is a MRSA staph infection. Very nasty. So they did the surgery. They cut a few inches off the femur and took out some soft tissue that was infected. And that wouldn't heal up right. So they went back in and did some more surgery. Got more bone. Took out more soft tissue. Ended up being 4 surgeries in 2 weeks before they thought they'd got it all. And they ended up taking out 6 inches off the top of my femur and left a pretty good sized hole in my hip, about yay big. About yay big around. Okay? And amazingly enough, it healed up just fine, just like I told them it would. It was about this big around and about this deep. And it healed very quickly. And the doctor, that orthopedic surgeon, was fucking amazed. So I get discharged, go home, and I felt okay for about 3 weeks. And then I just started feeling run down again and everything. The pain started coming back in my leg, my hip, and I really didn't. I thought they'd gotten the whole infection. I was told to make an appointment to come back after 6 months. And so I called, and ended up there wasn't an appointment available until what would be 7 months after my discharge. I was admitted January 29th of 2009, and I was discharged in the middle, towards the end of June of 2010. So I go back in. So wait a minute. So I make this appointment. It's a month out. 2 weeks into that, this little black hole opened up in the inside of my thigh, way up high above my groin, and just was oozing pus. So I figured I got an appointment. I didn't think about it being anything related to this MRSA. I thought it was just a cyst because this was in the middle of some old scar tissue from previous surgery I'd had way back, and there's folds and little crinkles and all that shit in that scar site. So I got a call from the receptionist that said that my doctor wouldn't be available, and she wanted me to postpone it another month. And I said, no, I got to get this seen. So I came in and I saw one of the doctors on the ward that I don't generally get along with very well, but go in there and strip down and show him this thing, and first thing he does is take one of those dowels with the cotton swab on the end and poked it into this hole and kept poking it in and poking it in. It kept going deeper and deeper and deeper until it was 8 centimeters deep into my thigh. That's to the center of the thigh, which tripped me out. He wanted me to be admitted that day, but I couldn't do it because I had to board my dogs and get various arrangements made for me not to be at home. And so I ended up going in. That was on Thursday, towards the end of January. I ended up going in at the end of January for this. And the infectious disease, I had the MRI and the CAT scan and the PET scan done, and there were 4 pockets of infection in there. And the infection was in my pelvis. And so obviously they hadn't gotten all of that infection out the previous time. There was still infection in the bone that they left behind, and it eaten another inch off that bone. Also gotten into my pelvis, and in the front of your pelvis you have your front pubic bone is about 4 inches long and about this big around. And it had eaten through the center inch of that bone to where it was gone. That center inch was gone. It's a very aggressive infection. And he said the only solution to this is you need to have a hemipelvectomy, which is cutting out half your pelvis. So, but he didn't think I should have that done because even though this was eating the bone and making it disappear, it would never get past the bone sheath to the other side of my pelvis or to my spine. Well, I know this is false, so I didn't accept that. And I got a second opinion. On my own dime, I went down to University of New Mexico Hospital and saw actually University of Mexico Cancer Center. got the name of the only doctor in New Mexico that does this hemipelvectomy procedure, and went in to see him, and he said, yes, this needs to be done. I asked him about the infection. He said, no, that will spread. Just like the infectious disease people had said. And this is after quite a bit of, a couple months of antibiotic treatment. And basically, they were just going to send me home and have me on antibiotics again forever for the rest of my life to slow this infection spread down. It wouldn't stop it, but it would slow it down. The problem is in bone, you don't have enough blood supply for the antibiotics to get in there and kill the infection. So, long story short, end up going down to see this guy who says, yes, it needs to be done. He convinces the VA doctors that, yes, this needs to be done. My doctor specifically. And my doctor immediately okayed for me to go down to UNM and have this procedure done. And there were some delays in there from VA fuck-ups, but I ended up a couple months later, should have been immediate. They could have saved part of my pelvis on the left side if they'd have done it immediately. But it ended up being a couple months later because the VA was going to make the next appointment with this doctor at UNM for me. I waited for 6 weeks. Kept bugging him. When's the appointment? You don't have it made yet? After 6 weeks, I got tired when I got my, no, we haven't got it made yet, answer again. And I got on the phone, and it took me 5 minutes to make an appointment with this doctor again. So went back in and saw him again. And now this infection had progressed to the point where a partial hemipelvectomy, where they could save part of my pelvis, was no longer an option. Now he had to take the whole half of the pelvis out. So, got the surgery scheduled pretty quickly. Went in June, I believe it was June 15th. To do the surgery. And, on none of these surgeries, these last 5 surgeries, none of the doctors said a damn thing about smoking. In fact, when I went down to UNM, I went down the morning of the surgery, and that was the first scheduled surgery. And I got there and smoked a cigarette, enjoying the last cigarette I was going to have for a while, in the parking lot, even though smoking's not allowed on UNM property. Bad boy. Anyway, so go in, have the surgery. Surgery goes extremely well. Had some problems at UNM. They're not used to dealing with spinal cord patients. But the surgery was on a Thursday. 19th, I think, not the 15th. I'm not sure. It's on that Thursday in there. On Friday, the doctor came in and looked at everything. Everything was great. On Saturday, he came in and looked at everything. And I thought they were going to send me back on Monday. So he comes in on Sunday, and I asked him, when can I get up? Because I was feeling okay. I said, when can I get up? And he said, as soon as you want. You have no restrictions. Monday comes, he wants to send me back to the VA, but the VA doctor my doctor won't take me because my blood volume isn't back up to what he wants. So I got mad and had my younger brother go over to the VA and get my wheelchair and bring it back to UNM so I could get up. So I got up on Monday. Now, this is disturbing because, as it turns out, never is 4 days. Never only lasts 4 days. So if I ever meet that great gal and she says, I'll never leave you, I'm going to look at my calendar and figure out if we can get her packed and ready to go in 4 days. Anyway, the surgery was done. He cut out the half of the pelvis. He got all of the infection. Left leg went with it. As you can see, it's gone. It's not there anymore. And this is all squishy because there's no bone in there. But it feels, the pain is much, much, much less. And this bone doctor who came down after every single consult with the ortho doctor at UNMH and was going, what do you say, what do you say, what do you say? He never came and saw me because I was going to tear him a new one. If he'd have just cut the fucking leg off before, I would still have the pelvis and have a more stable sitting posture. But he didn't. I didn't. I called a couple of lawyers about suing, and turns out I didn't have a case because I was doing so well. So anyway, and my desire for a lawsuit was not to get a bunch of money. My desire for a lawsuit was to get these jackasses fired that, you know, refused to do the surgery the first time, just to take the leg off. So anyway, that was in July. I was discharged from the hospital a month and a half or so ago. That was my longest hospital stay ever. That was 8 months I was in there. So I was discharged towards the end of, discharged at the end of August. No, I'm sorry, the first part of September. I was still in there for Labor Day. So, I'd given up the lease on my apartment. It expired and I'd given it up. I thought I was going to be in the hospital a lot longer than I was. I recovered very quickly. Again, in the area that was irradiated, that would never ever heal. And I'm now having a house built out on the west part of Rio Rancho. And they ought to be starting construction in probably late this week or early next week. They'll be breaking ground. And it'll take about 3 months to build. So right now, I'm in this glorious suite in a week-to-week motel. And there's what you see behind me. And over there is a 2-burner stove, a sink, a microwave, and the bathroom. And that's it. So where the sweet stuff comes in, I don't know. Maybe the front door opens up in my front room, which is just huge. I mean, it's got a parking lot out there. It's got freeways. It's got mountains. It's got clouds and the full sky. I mean, Colorado is out there. California is in my front room. China is in my front room, although you'd have to go quite a ways to get there. But surgery's done. I'm doing good. And that's that. Now, This is something I meant to do a while back, but like I say, I was off of YouTube because I got real tired of all the same bullshit because I was getting madder and madder and madder. It took them 6 years to get this surgery done on my hip. So, this is going to be the last video on the Coquidave channel. I'm starting up a new channel, and I'll be posting an intro video over there. And that's going to be Gila Monster 62. I'll be adding a link to it, and you can go over there if you are so inclined and subscribe to me there. And I'll be putting videos up on there. I don't know exactly how frequently, but I'll be putting videos up on there. Other than this house project and my involvement with that, because I had a model home customized for my needs. And I'll talk about that in the other video. But in this, I'll be busy with that. But other than that, I'm just sitting in this little one-room motel room for 3 months until that house is built for me to move into. The builder thinks he can get it done by the first of next year, but I'm kind of doubting that. But like I say, there'll be more on that because there's some kind of funny stuff on that. Anyway, so there's the update. The medical problems I was having throughout this whole YouTube experience to date are now resolved. Unfortunately, it was much more drastic than would have been necessary had they fixed it right away. But then again, this is government health care. So there you go. But there's the update. Sorry for the long video, but this is, quite a bit to cover. A couple years worth. And with that, I'll say thanks for everybody especially the people who have watched and remarked on my Freedom is Not Free video. All the comments, both good and bad, represent exactly what that video is about. The freedoms that we enjoy. There have been a few detractors on there, and that's okay. That's their right. That's exactly what I fought and I sacrificed for, is for people to be able to express their opinions freely. So, with that, I'm going to say adios from this channel, and I'll make a video right now, a little short intro video, and put it up on Gila Monster 62. And as I say, if you want to, if you're so inclined, go ahead and subscribe over there, and we'll start having some fun with not only the little weird stories and day-to-day ramblings that I put on here every once in a while, to when I go out shooting, or if I take a road trip, or get into discussing politics and all the crap our country is facing and the garbage the world is facing and all this. So if you're interested, follow the link over there, and go ahead and subscribe, and then we'll get this YouTube thing started up again. Thanks for your patience, and sorry for such a long video, but like I say, it was a lot to cover in just a few minutes. So Adios, hasta luego, and I'll see you over on Gila Monster 62. Take it light.